Hello YouTube friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. And today I want to speak with you about what to do when you're about to go on vacation so that during your vacation you're not worried about what's going on with your fish. And I just got back from one. For those of you who saw that short little video I did on Not Live and Off the Grid, I think about, 500-600 of you watched that. And I promised you a video on what I do before I go on vacation. I did one like this a while back. Things have changed a little bit. I have some different advice for you. And first and foremost, what do you worry about when you go on vacation? Probably the thing most people worry about when they go on vacation is that their fish are going to be either over or underfed. That seems to be a primary worry. Now, if you're going to err in that direction, you're better to err in the direction of underfed. These fish, in particular cichlids, can go for quite a while and without eating. You've heard the urban legends about fish that were shipped and were lost for 6 days or 2 weeks, and they arrived and they were okay. So apparently they can go for a little while without eating. Not recommended, but it has, from what I understand, has occurred from time to time. So if you're going to make a mistake, make a mistake in the direction of underfeeding. Now, that being said, let's just say that you have somebody that you feel is fairly reliable. They're fairly reliable, but they're not a fish keeper. Okay, somebody who is like that is going to make honest mistakes. The first one is that the fish, well, they seemed hungry, and so I fed them a little more, or I fed them one extra time. Well, of course, anyone who keeps tropical fish know that usually, and again in particular African cichlids, always seem hungry. These fish just had a huge meal of frozen krill. And I'll do that sometimes before a water change so that when I vacuum, I can pick up any residual pieces that might be laying on the substrate that the fish or the pleco haven't already gotten to. So I've just given them some krill. If I was to go up to the tank right now and it looked to them like I was going to feed them, they would all come to the top and look very, very hungry. So you have to let whoever is taking care of your fish know that cichlids are liars, fish are liars. They will always act hungry. Dogs do the same thing. I think if you have just fed your dogs, but you walk outside with a piece of chicken or something, they're going to attack you and try and get it. I mean, that's just it's sort of a normal wild critter sort of behavior. So let the person who's watching your fish know that they have to follow your directions exactly and to the letter, and don't vary. Corey, in a live presentation over at the Aquarium Co-op the other day, talked about a person who might miss a couple days of feeding because they couldn't get to your house or whatever, and then they figure, okay, well, let me see, I missed 2 days and I'm not going to be able to come tomorrow, so let me give them 4 days worth of food. Well, that of course will probably kill your fish. They'll probably eat until they blow up or until they give themselves a nice case of bloat. So leave instructions that are very clear and that say, do precisely what I say, and if you miss a day, don't worry about it. Just follow each day's directions. I leave written instructions. I leave written instructions on top of each tank with very clear instructions. And usually what I'll do is I'll leave something like this. And I'll leave just one of these out and say 2 scoops for the 100, 1 scoop for the 60, 4 scoops for the 150. Something like that, just very simple with 1 spoon. And then each tank has how many scoops they get. Okay, so that would be one way, leaving a precise measurement out for each of the tanks. Another thing you can do is you can use these vitamin baggies. These are vitamin baggies. You can pick these up in any vitamin store, and you can use a marker, a Sharpie, and on each one just write 150 gallon Tuesday, 150 gallon Wednesday, and you can just put the instructions on each one, the date, and tell the person do not vary, and if you miss a date, don't worry about it, leave the bag alone, and just and that way it's a precise feeding for each day, and you just leave the packets right next to the tank, and the person reads the date, the date, day of the week and the date, and knows that that goes into the tank. Another thing you can do is you can use a one of these simple vitamin containers. Let's say you only have 1 or 2 tanks. Get a couple of these, they're real cheap. You can mark each one of these, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and in each one you have whatever portion of food you want to give the fish for that day. The person simply opens up that day and just dumps that in, and you're good to go, okay? Now, before you leave, okay, most people like to do maintenance before they leave. That's understandable. You want to do your water changes, things of this nature. My suggestion is this: do not do a major maintenance on the day you're going to leave, or even the evening before you're going to leave. Because if in that maintenance something occurred, you want to have enough time to be able to catch it and to do something about it. Just like I wouldn't suggest to add fish right before you go on vacation or something of that nature. Don't do anything that could require you to observe for a while, because you're just not going to be there, and the person watching your fish is not going to know what to do. So if you run out of time, I would err in the direction of skip a water change. Catch it when you get back from vacation. Again, your fish can take it. Nitrates, okay, so they creep up over 40, they get around 50, 60. Hey, you know what? It's not going to kill them. As long as you don't have something crazy like an ammonia spike, which, unless something was really wrong, that wouldn't happen if you have an established tank. Maybe if you had a die-off and the fish were lying and rotting in the back of the tank or something, maybe, but that's usually not going to happen. So if you're too close to your departure time, don't do anything major that could create stress or have an adverse reaction that then you're not going to be able to see because you're on a plane flying somewhere, or you're in a car driving and you're hundreds of miles away and out of touch. People can't reach you. Now, also leave instructions that if something were to seem unusual, for the person to take a picture or a short video and to just fire it to you. People try and describe things to you over the phone. This happens sometimes at the ben.o.cichlid Facebook page. People will put a verbal description of what they see going on with their fish, and we really can't tell. We want to help, but we can't, because it's just too general. So have the person take a snapshot or a short video and send it to you, and also leave instructions that should a fish die in your absence, which sometimes can happen for a variety of reasons, poor timing, the fish just happens to die of old age while you happen to be gone. And so not to panic, just take a picture of the fish and remove him from the tank. But take a picture and send it to you so that you can see, did this fish have any signs of disease? Were they bloated? Were they, did they have fungus, velvet, Pulmonary, did they have ick? Did they have something going on? And then you can go ahead and follow up with some instructions, okay? So leave instructions that are second grade level. Even if the person is a fish keeper, you may have a way of doing things that is unique to you and has been working for your fish that person may not be familiar with. So leave simple written instructions and use little hacks and tricks like leaving a particular spoon size or baggies with everything clearly measured and marked, so that the chances of making a mistake are very, very small. And certainly leave your lights on timers, and that really should do it. Now, what about automatic feeders? I've never used one, so I can't give you a comment about an automatic feeder. I've heard good things about the Eheim model. I've also heard stories of the feeders becoming clogged, and of them breaking off the side of the tank, becoming loose or unfastened, and falling into the water, which of course would create a disaster of too much food, pollution, a whole bunch of other issues. So I haven't really gotten into those, maybe someday, but truthfully, part of the fun for me is, especially with these cichlids, is watching them eat and feeding them, and sometimes feeding them by hand, like I do with the frozen krill. And to me, that's part of the fun of keeping the fish. So I really doubt that I'll ever go in the direction of an automatic battery-operated or electric plug-in type feeder. Okay, so to wrap up, any major maintenance that you're going to be doing, with your filters or water changes, etc., do it several days before you're leaving, so that if a negative impact occurs, you can see it and do something about it. Don't do it right before you go. Don't add fish right before you go, okay? Because that could introduce things to the tank, or there could be some aggression that requires separation, things of this nature. So don't do anything major right before you leave, and leave everything at a second grade level with instructions, and preferably measured out, so that making a mistake is next to impossible. And of course, leave instructions in the event of something bad. Just take a picture, send it to me, don't panic, and I'll give you instructions, or I'll call you and we'll figure it out. You don't want the person taking care of your fish to have an anxiety attack. Oh my God, Ben's gonna kill me when he gets back because his favorite fish looks sick, or they were kind enough to take care of your fish. Just leave them good, clear instructions, and don't give them a heart attack, okay? All right, so that's it for me, and I hope that helps if you're about to go on a vacation, and it certainly makes my vacation easier. I don't even think about them really while I'm away, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, I don't worry while I'm away, and I can enjoy my vacation fully and completely, as you should too, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. You are appreciated. Be sure to hit that bell, and if you haven't already, so you get notifications, and subscribe, comment. I do read the comments, and I love the Convo gang, right? Those folks those of you who get into conversations and comment on each other's stuff. I think the conversations are kept very informative, and I love reading them. Like I've said before, we all learn from each other here, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.